Welcome to the In Love with PMDD podcast, where we dive deep into dating with PMDD, PMDD relationships, stress, triggers, PMDD rage, and really understanding how attachment styles play a role in PMDD relationship. So I am Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist, and I've personally suffered with PMDD for over 19 years. And I've dedicated my practice to help you stop the monthly PMDD breakups. My dissertation, the phenomenological study of the relationship experiences of partners of individuals who suffer with PMDD, gave me insight and tools on how PMDD affects the partner who has PMDD as well as the partner who does not. So each week, I'll be sharing my specialized trauma transformational tools to help you rewire your PMDD brain, get rid of the stress during the luteal phase, and finally have the relationship that you both desire and deserve. So whether it's understanding PMDD triggers, controlling PMDD rage, or healing past trauma from events that have happened in your relationship, this is your space to rebuild your relationship, empower you to connect with someone while having PMDD, and ultimately grow stronger together. So to get private PMDD relationship counseling sessions or for more PMDD tools, go to inlovewithpmdd.com. Now let's get into today's episode. We got this. So today I wanted to talk to you about 4 things that have dramatically helped my PMDD symptoms so much to the fact that I've gotten so many DMs on TikTok and Instagram asking me, do I still experience PMDD symptoms? Am I still in the realm of PMDD? All of these things, because it looks like I'm out of the game. It looks like I'm not having PMDD. It looks like I'm just in this altered universe because I went from really, really suffering to really, really looking like I'm experiencing a lot of joy and a lot of peace and a lot of happiness. And I know that can be very triggering for individuals that are suffering in PMDD. So first and foremost, I get that. I understand that. I remember being in the depths of my suffering with PMDD and feeling like, oh, great, this person has healed their PMDD. Like, they're over it. And then I'm just left in the dumps. Like, what am I doing wrong? And all of these things. And I always try to be very open with you about what I'm doing on my journey, because I never want you to feel like you're alone in the suffering with PMDD. And I never want you to feel like anything that I'm doing is not something that you can do. So I'm going to give you my secret, not so secret. If you follow me on Instagram every single day, I vlog my journey of what I've been doing for the last, I would say 2 months, 2 to 3 months, in PMDD that has dramatically decreased my PMDD symptoms so much that I've had to check my calendar just to see if I'm in PMDD, just to see what phase of my cycle that I'm on. Whereas before, I used to know based off of how I was feeling exactly where I was. And I'd be like, oh, it's going to be like this, or, oh, I'm going to have anxiety. Oh, I'm going to have depression. Oh, I'm going to have sensitivity to noise. Oh, I'm going to be not functional in these certain areas. But I want to give you the 4 things that I have been doing that I've stayed consistent with. Obviously, if you have PMDD, if you have premenstrual dysphoric disorder, you're always in the realm of trying something new. You're always in the realm of experimenting. You're always trying to wave the magic wand and get rid of PMDD. So you're very open to all of the things that other people have said works for PMDD. And you're kind of like, what worked for you? Let me try that and see if that works for me. And I get it, because you get so deep in the depths of suffering that you're trying to widen your level of tools that you have for PMDD, obviously, which is why you're here. You're suffering in your PMDD relationship, or you're wanting more tools for your PMDD relationship, and you're trying to get access to that. So I get that aspect. And I'm just going to tell you the 4 things that I've been doing, because I know that as I've been on this journey of coming home to myself, really after a year ago, almost a year, not a year and a half, almost a year and a half, since the breakup, it looks like right? It looks like from the outside that, oh my gosh, once Dr. Rose became single, she's so much more happier. Maybe I should be single, right? And I know this because I have private clients that have said this to my face. And I literally have in-person clients because when I travel, I let my clients know that I'm traveling. And so I'll meet with some of them in person because I travel on a monthly basis. But they've literally said, like, I know it's because you're single. I know your PMDD symptoms are less because you're single. And I just want to debunk the myth. And it's not because I'm single, it's because of the things that I've added that I'm going to talk to you about today. But I can get how it can seem like being single is the cure for PMDD, which is something that I've literally said. Being single is not the cure for PMDD. Just because you don't have a partner doesn't mean that you don't have premenstrual dysphoric disorder symptoms. I never want you to feel like that. I never want you to think that that's the solution because it's not. And anyone that's trying to portray that it is, even if they say that, oh, my symptoms are less because I'm single, and now that I'm single, my symptoms are better. It's not a cure for PMDD. And there's a counter to that. Like there's something that they're missing also. Like I know for me, and I'll just start off with this before I even go into everything that I've been doing. Being single has not been easy because I've been missing certain things that I had when I was in the relationship. And I will go over that first because it's not the easy way out. Like pulling the plug on your relationship, a lot of times when you're in your luteal phase, when you're in PMDD, that's what your PMDD brain wants you to think, that if you just become single, like your PMDD symptoms are going to go away. It's going to be so much better if you could just be cooped up alone in your house. You don't have to worry about anyone else. You don't have to worry about what they're thinking, what they're saying, what they're doing. You can just manage your symptoms on your own. I know that's what your PMDD brain is telling you because guess what? If we all have PMDD, we all have premenstrual dysphoric disorder, we all have the same brain that's telling us the same things. Have you ever even asked yourself that? Like, is there a reason why cognitively everyone who has PMDD is like thinking the same thing? It's because it's the same programming. It's the same pattern. We are all across the world. I checked my stats for 2024, I have clients in over 70 countries. 70 different countries, and you're all feeling and thinking the same things when you go into your luteal phase. There's no way that that's a coincidence. There's no way that we're magically all thinking the same thing. It's because that's what your PMDD brain is trying to tell you. So I want to just let you know that if you're going through premenstrual dysphoric disorder and you're feeling like you want to break up with your partner every single month, just recognize that that's going to be a symptom. I know it's not labeled as like, oh, anxiety, depression, breaking up with my partner, but the sooner you realize that, the better off you're going to be and the less alone that you're going to feel. Because I know a lot of you that have come to me very early on, specifically from TikTok, because I've just activated my account for TikTok this year. And I love that community because you're so responsive and you're so communicative and everything. You feel like you're alone. And I get comments like this every single day off of my videos on TikTok. And it's like, I thought I was the only one. I thought I was alone. You're not alone. There's a whole community of us. And I'm creating something for us to really connect that's really going to help you feel less alone. Because I remember thinking that there was something wrong with me because I was always wanting to break up with my partner because I was comparing myself to individuals that did not have premenstrual dysphoric disorder. And I'm like, there's something wrong with me because everybody can seem to, even if they have issues, they can figure out their PMDD relationship. But for some reason, I can't. So the first thing I want to let you know is that you're not alone. And the next thing I want you to know is that as I've gone on this journey for the past couple of months, it's not that I'm being single and I'm not experiencing my same PMDD symptoms. I am experiencing symptoms. I would say that my focus on my symptoms has shifted a lot because when I went in this journey, on my own personal journey of self-worth, of self-love, which is something that I had to do because as I've said before, my self-worth, my self-love and that whole journey that can seem very like taboo for people. It's like, oh, love yourself. My self-worth and what I was accepting was in the garbage. It was in the garbage. It was in the trash. I was literally accepting breadcrumbs. I was accepting little things, and it was impacting my PMDD. When I got into my luteal phase, it caused me to overthink a lot of things. It caused me to question myself. It caused me to question everything. And you would think, coming off this last year of like, oh, you got your doctorate, or oh, you did this, I felt the lowest that I've ever felt being in PMDD this last year, because I went into the dating realm and I questioned everything. I questioned what I deserved. I questioned if I should settle for the breadcrumbing. I questioned if I would settle for the ghosting. Because you have to think, individuals who are not having PMDD are being ghosted. Individuals who are not having PMDD are being gaslighted. They're being breadcrumbed. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I felt like I was lower than the low when it came to the dating pool, which is why I invested in getting help, which I 100% would recommend in your PMDD relationship, not just because I'm a PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist and I provide those services for you, but because it's something that I actually had to do for myself. And I had a conversation earlier today with my dating mentor, thanking him for, I mean, it's been 2 months, and the things that I've shifted and changed in my journey of PMDD dating, or dating with PMDD, however you want to word it, it has been monumental. And I would have never gotten to the level that I've gotten as far as the satisfaction, as far as the joy, as far as the peace, had I not invested in meeting with him. Like, there's no way that I would have figured it out on my own, because when you recognize that you're not an expert in something, it's not like an ego thing, like where it's like, oh, I'm not an expert, so I don't know what to do. Go find someone. Someone is an expert in the thing that you want to improve your life on. That's what I realized. When I wanted to get better at dating, I hired a dating mentor, and I paid for it because I knew that it was going to be the quickest way to get me from point A to point B. I know that you can go on Google University, YouTube University, and kind of try to figure things out, but the quickest way to do it is with a mentor. And that's what I learned firsthand, is that if someone knows something about something that I don't know, the quickest way for me to have the least suffering in my PMDD and learn the tools is to hire them. And I do this for my podcast. I have a whole podcast team at this point, podcast producing team that I hired, because I'm not a techie person. Like, I'm not going to sit here and do like a DIY and pretend like I know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. That's not my level of expertise. So I would say, if you're trying to figure it out on your own, like, you're wasting your time, which is what I did. I did for years of like, oh, I'm going to like try to do it myself. But everybody has their own talents and skills. And it's not meaning that you're less valuable because you hire someone. It's also, it's like you work smarter, not harder. So when I was first starting the podcast back in 2021, I can't even believe it's been like 4 years, 4 and some change. I didn't know about all of these things. And the first 2 years, and you can go back if you're really bored, you can go back and listen to what the episodes sounded like, because I didn't know what to do with the podcast. I just knew that I wanted to do a podcast, and I just went and tried to DIY, do it on my own. And then when I started to invest in, okay, I need to get better equipment, or okay, I need to get someone to clip my things. Like, it's a thing. When you decide to improve a level of your life, you have to invest. And I know what it feels like to feel like you want to just get there without investing. You don't want to pay any money. You just want to see if you could do it yourself. I've been there. I've wasted hours and hours of my time because I've not produced anything. Like, I've wasted time trying to work on things. So this is what I mean for your PMDD relationship. Maybe you've tried to have conversations with your partner again and again and again, and they're not getting it. They're getting annoyed. The same way that I got annoyed with trying to set up my podcast studio without knowing about podcast things is the same way your partner can get annoyed with you trying to tell them how to be a supportive PMDD partner when you don't have the tools to do that. Like, you're just like, you just need to do it. Like, it's like the Nike thing. It's like, just do it. It's like, what does that look like, chicken nugget? Like, I don't know. Like, I hear what you're saying, but I don't hear what you're saying. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that information. And so when I invested in my dating mentor, it shifted my life very quickly. I told him that my dating life changed within 2 weeks of implementing the tools that he was given from when I hired him. In 2 weeks' time, my complete experience changed. And it wouldn't have had I not reached out to him. And I feel like a lot of times the ego is there. The ego is like, oh, you should be able to do this on your own, or, oh, it's not that hard. Yeah, it doesn't have to be that hard in order for you to not be able to do it. Like, I'm not expecting it to be that hard, but why waste your time and energy that you could be spending on your family, that you could be spending on your loved ones, versus just hiring someone who has gone through the journey? Everybody that I have hired on my team has gone through the struggle and figured it out. They're telling me what they have learned on their journey, and I am investing in them. I am paying them for what it is that they've learned on the journey. It's the same thing with you. If you're listening to this podcast and I'm telling you about PMDD relationships, I didn't learn this from a book. I honestly could say that I didn't learn this from a book. I learned this from years of counseling and coaching PMDD partners and PMDD sufferers in relationships. This is not something that I could say, oh, I went to so-and-so university and I learned it. No, I learned it from specifically talking to the individuals who are suffering with PMDD and their partners. And I've done that. And I've done that for years. And why would I expect you to have the same level of knowledge that I have, the same level of experience with people that have come on hundreds of hours of private sessions and talk to me about what they're going through? That's where the tools are coming from. That's where the knowledge is coming from. And I'm here to provide those tools to you on the podcast for free 99. I provide them for free every single week. But if you know that this is something that you need to customize, you're like, I resonate with you because the things that you're saying are actually what I'm going through, but I'm going through something really specific. I'm going through this in my PMDD relationship. This is where the private clients come in. So that's the next level. So if you listen to the podcast and you feel like it's 2025, I've listened to the podcast, you resonated with me. That's how I hired everyone that I have in my arsenal of tools. Because right now I'm on a self-worth, self-love journey, because that's what I feel like went in the garbage during this last relationship. And so I've invested in rebuilding myself, really coming home to myself. And I've seen the results immediately. And so it made me feel really good about my investment. I told you I enrolled in this program. It was like $3,000. And it was like to just basically have you come home to yourself, recognize your self-worth, all of these things. And that's something that I had to do. That was something personally that I was like, you know what? Wherever I go forward in my journey of dating and in a relationship, and especially in a PMDD relationship, I need to work on this hole, this gap. And I could like go on YouTube University and go on go on Reddit and go on these Facebook groups. And I could do that. And it would take me a lot of time, which is not something that I just wanted to invest in. I will say, because it's like a catch or miss. Like when you're going on these Facebook groups and you're going on Reddit and you're going on these things, you're having to customize it, which is what I do for my private clients. I customize every tool that I already have, that I've already implemented. I customize it to what's specifically going on in their PMDD relationship. And that's why it's so effective. Because I'm getting to know what's going on in their life and I'm customizing my tools to what's going on in their life. And that's why they get quicker results. So that's why getting private sessions with me is a lot quicker than just listening to the podcast. Listening to the podcast is do it every single week, twice a week. I remember when I first started my journey, I only did it once a week. And one of my private clients was like, once a week is not enough. And I immediately listened to that. And I started giving 2 episodes a week to be able to give more value. But if you want that customized advice, the link is in the show notes, and that literally gets you to your destination quicker. Can you get there by listening for hours and hours and hours on the podcast? Yes, and absolutely keep coming back every single week. But when you need a change, when you want to change, you literally will invest for a change. Like people only really invest in themselves in the place of suffering, which I have learned. When they're suffering in their PMDD relationship, that's when they're willing to get help. Point blank, period. It happens. And for me, because when I was suffering with PMDD dating with PMDD, I immediately invested to get help. I was like, I don't have time for this. Like, I know that I want to date. I know that I want to connect to other people. But I don't know what to do. And sometimes you just want to know what to do, which is why I created the program My Partner Has PMDD. Now what? For the partners that just want to know what to do. That's literally what that program is. Dr. Rose, I'm all over the place. I want to be a more supportive PMDD partner. Or Dr. Rose, my partner's not supportive. I really want them to be supportive, and I'm tired of sending them articles and they're not really getting what I'm saying. This is why I created the course. You don't have to keep doing all of that work. I'm packaging it up and sending it to you. So the link for that is in the show notes. It's still on sale for the month of January. And I just want to give you the bottom line of what has worked for PMDD partners and PMDD sufferers. I'm not telling you something that has worked for the masses. I specialize as Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist, only on PMDD relationships. And I will say this once and I'll say it again. There's so many realms of PMDD that I could say like, oh, I'm an expert in. I'm not, and I don't want to be. I'm an expert in PMDD relationships, and that's it. And so if that's something that you're feeling like, okay, this is something that I need help with, then be willing to invest, because if you're struggling with the same thing again and again and again, it's not going to change. It's not going to be different. I've been there where every single month was different. I felt like I was in Groundhog Day. Like every month we were arguing, every month we were fighting. There was nothing that I felt like I could do without it. I just knew what it was going to be. And that created a lot of anxiety for me in PMDD. And now with these 4 non-negotiables that I put into my routine that have dramatically helped my PMDD symptoms, I know that my months are not going to suck. Whereas before, my months literally sucked. Like, regardless of, like what you thought, like on the outside, like I would have months that literally sucked. And I was like, okay, what are the things that I can do? So I will tell you the 4 things right now, because they have dramatically shifted me going into my luteal phase. Like I started PMDD yesterday. No. Today is day 1 of PMDD. I started today. And what I want to preface and say is I still experience PMDD symptoms. I'm not saying these are the 4 things that I did to take my PMDD symptoms away. So before you click off and be like, oh, forget that. Like, no, I'm saying that these are 4 things that have dramatically shifted how I'm suffering in PMDD. It's made my suffering less. Like I don't suffer in PMDD. I experience PMDD, but I don't suffer in it. Like it doesn't suck as much as it sucked before. And so the first thing is the daily walks. When I went over the holiday schedule, over like December, it's like really crazy. I was, had my normal PMDD morning routine, and you can hear about that all on the previous episodes. But I wanted to take a break from that. I really wanted to pull back on that because I was going to be super busy, and I felt like it was going to be really stressful for me to still do like the full on go to the gym, even though the gym is literally in my complex. I wanted to give my body a break. I wanted to give my mind a break because I wasn't scheduling a lot of clients on a routine basis as far as like, oh, I need to be up at a certain time. Like I wanted to give my body and mind a break for at least 2 weeks. So to just feel what it felt like to not be in that hyperactive, like PMDD, sufferer mode. And so I said, but you know what? Because I truly believe that movement is so beneficial for having premenstrual dysphoric disorder. Like if you stay stagnant or you stay sitting down or you stay, like your symptoms are going to be worse. So I literally wanted to keep in the movement. So what I said was daily walks. Daily walks is something that I'm going to keep in as a non-negotiable, and it dramatically increased my physical, my emotional, and my mental health as I was experiencing PMDD. And I did this for a couple of months. And I said, I'm just going to walk my dog. And then I would walk my dog and then take him back in, because walking my dog, luckily, gave me the initial boost, which you get the initial boost of endorphins. And then when I got my second wind, as I call it, like when I started to feel really good, I brought my dog in the house because he's a small dog. He's not like one of those big dogs that's going to take me on a long run. I brought him in the house and I continued my walk. And so I will give you my step count, which I hate doing because everybody's like, oh my gosh, how many steps do I need to do? I know that I initially did at least 11,000. It's like the weirdest number because everybody's like 10,000 steps a day. I literally did at a minimum 11,000 steps and more. I literally walked my dog and then brought him in the house and walked some more. And I, at a minimum, got 11,000 steps a day. And the reason why I say that because I wasn't really working out. I wasn't really like lifting weights. I wasn't doing Pilates or bars. All of the other things that I was doing, I was giving my body a break, but I was still wanting to combat the PMDD symptoms like depression, anxiety, irritability. These are all the things that you will get from not moving your body and just sitting there. Sitting there and staying stuck makes the symptoms become bigger because you're just staring at them. If you're in your bed and you're experiencing PMDD, like I told you, I wake up in PMDD when I first have it. Like on my day one, I'll wake up in a cold sweat. Like I was like sweating this morning like a runaway slave. And I was sitting there like, oh my God. Like I wake up with that. If I was to stay in the bed, I'm 100%, 1000% gonna feel worse. But when I got to that point where I was like, you know what? I'm still going to walk my dog. I'm still going to go for a walk. It boosted it boosted my mood. Like my mood was automatically better once I got outside. And I have gone through seasons. So, we've gone from the fall to the winter. So it didn't matter for me if it was cold outside or if it was warm outside. I just needed to get outside. So that was the thing that I would pair with my daily walks is like being out in nature, because I know some people are like getting these walking pads, and I know these people are like going to the gym and they're only doing their walks out there. I would say at least commit to a 15-minute walk outside, even if you're going to do the rest inside, because I went on the inside to my condo gym and I felt the difference between going outside and being inside. The walking outside was 1000% better. And it wasn't about, I need to walk really fast or I need to like power walk with weights in my hand. I was just walking. And a lot of time I was vlogging if you follow me on Instagram, that you were there with me on my walks. And it reduced my stress levels. So when you wake up in the morning and you have premenstrual dysphoric disorder, that's when your symptoms are heightened. It's like, good morning, we're in PMDD. Your cortisol levels are really, really high. Walking scientifically has been proven to lower your cortisol levels. The body's primary stress hormone is cortisol. And since stress can amplify PMDD symptoms, regular walks create a sense of calm, and it improves the resilience to the stressor. So you're going to feel the symptoms, but it improves your reaction to them. They're not going to hit as hard. So if we know that stress is bad for PMDD, which you should know by now, stress is bad for PMDD. Cortisol is the hormone that produces the stress. What we need to do first thing in the morning, like your PMDD morning routine matters. What you do in the morning when you have premenstrual dysphoric disorder matters. And the basis of what you should do when you're coming to compile your PMDD morning routine is, what can I do to lower my stress levels, lower my cortisol? I do not tell you that you have to do the exact things that I'm doing, but your primary target should be doing at least 3, at a bare minimum, 3 to 5 things to lower your cortisol levels, to lower that stress hormone, because as soon as it's activated and it's left dormant and you're just leaving it there, it's going to pick on PMDD and make your symptoms worse. So when you wake up in the morning and you're going to PMDD and you're like, what can I do to improve my symptoms, to make my suffering less? Think about, what can I do to make me stress less? So that's the number one thing. And so also with the walks, regular physical activity like walking, it supports your hormone imbalance. So I know there's so many supplements out there that it's like, I want to balance my hormones. You can do it holistically by going on daily walks. I didn't say daily runs. I didn't say you're running marathons or like 5K or 10K. Literally walking will improve your circulation, your metabolism, and it helps your body process the fluctuating hormones that are going on, that are impacting your PMDD symptoms. So just committing to walking, I would say, if you're wanting to introduce this into your morning routine, you don't have a dog, you don't have an animal, that's fine. 30 minutes a day, 30 minutes of walking in the morning. Just when you get up, just put your alarm for 30 minutes earlier and you'll do that and just do the walk. Also, what the walking does, because I started doing morning and evening walking, it improved my sleep quality. Because when I went into PMDD, I had restlessness, I had insomnia, I had all of these things, but walking regulated my circadian rhythm. So I said, regardless of what's happening in my day, how much I'm suffering, I'm going to go on a walk, and that's going to trigger my body to relax. And I had better sleep, and I had less of those like waking up in the middle of the night or even problems falling asleep. And I know like we're in the winter season for a lot of the countries that I'm speaking to you in, and you could feel like, oh, I don't feel like walking. It's dark outside. Like for me, it literally gets dark at 5 p.m. So what I did, and I'm going to add this in for the daily walks, is I got a walking buddy. I got somebody from my condo that like walks with me, and she looks forward to it. And we just do like a walk and talk where we kind of like catch up. And I used to do that with my partner. Remember, I talked to you about how whenever we had issues, I would say we need to do a walk and talk. You can literally find a friend and do that with. And I bet you if you ask a friend, like, hey, will you go on a walk with me? They're just waiting for someone to ask them, because a lot of people, they don't want to be accountable to themselves because they're like, oh, I'm going to do it. And then they don't do it. But if you have someone waiting for you outside your door, like you're more likely to do it. So having a physical walking buddy really helps. And the best walking buddy is your partner. So if you can get your partners to commit to 30 minutes, I would say even 20 minutes, just say 20 minutes. Like, babe, we're about to have dinner. I say it's like after dinner, can we just walk for 20 minutes? This is a perfect time for you to check in with your partner, for you to talk to them. Even if you have to put the kids to bed, say if you eat dinner around 7, you put the kids to bed around 8:30. Let's go on a walk from like 8 to 8:20. Then you still have that buffer. Like, make it baby steps. Make it seem simple. Simple is easy when it comes to implementing some of these things that are really going to help your PMDD symptoms. Okay. Also, it really relieved my bloating, my cramps, my muscle tension. And because it reduces inflammation. A lot of times the things that are causing you to feel like you have those body aches when you're in PMDD is because you have inflammation in your body. And so those daily walks, as little as 20 minutes, is going to be good for you. It provided a mental break. So for me, I was dealing with a lot of clients, and I would need that break. So I would take them like in between sessions. I started calculating my sessions with a 20 to 30 minute walk in between. And so it gave me that mental break and allowed me to process everything from the previous session so that I can be my best when it comes to my next client. Going back to back with clients for me was not beneficial because I never got the break. And then also just like sticking to a daily routine, it improved my self-esteem. Like, it made me feel good about myself. And that's why I did a lot of my vlogging. I'm like, hey guys, like, I felt good about myself. I felt accomplished. I got that dopamine hit from taking those daily walks. So I know there's this big thing on like, oh my gosh, it's like we can do hard things. I always say with PMDD, you can do things. They don't have to be hard. They just need to be something. You have to do something to manage your PMDD symptoms. And a lot of it is action based. And I know we get into those realms and we want to take pills and we want to take supplements and we want to get these programs that are just going to do the work for us. But I'm trying to tell you the quicker way to get it, the quicker way to understand what your body is responding to is to start doing actions and seeing how your PMDD symptoms are impacted. So I would say if you're taking notes on this session, number 1, do daily walks, at least 20 minutes. And if you don't want to wake up at the crack of dawn like I do, like I wake up at 5 a.m. and it's dark outside. That's because I have a long life ahead of me. Like, my days are long. But you can do a daily walk at any time. You can say, I'm going to do the daily walk after dinner. Like, don't let the time of day be a deterrent before getting it done. Don't say, oh, because I'm not doing it at this time, I can't get it done. If you want to do evening walks, do evening walks, but at least you've added it in. Like, have the confidence of, like, at the end of the day, I would set alarms on my phone because it would just like remind me, like, okay, don't forget you're going to do your walk. And like, you're not going to feel like it. I will tell you, you're not going to feel like it a lot of the day, especially when it's cold, when you got you can always give the excuses, but just know to yourself, you're not going to feel like it. Do it anyway. Just like Nike, do it. Just do it. You know, psychologically, I researched that the way that the Nike motto is so powerful, it's not for the do it part. You know, the word that makes just do it the Nike motto, which is one of the most popular mottos in marketing and just has gotten people to just like go to the brand. It's the word just. It's not do and it's not it, it's just, because it simplifies it. It makes it seem like, hey, whatever you got going on in your day, just do it. Just do it. So I would say for the daily walk, because I would say you can actually use the 4 things that I'm going to give you. You don't have to start all 4 of them in the same month, because I know we're in the new year. It's like everybody wants to start all these new things. Just do one thing. If I'm telling you 4 things on this episode, I would say just do one. That would be my motto. Just do one. Start implementing one and see how differently you feel. Just do one on a daily basis. Do I take breaks on the weekends? Absolutely freaking not. I don't fall for that. That's a scam for me, because in PMDD, I have to be very habitual. And I hate saying that word. It sounds like a curse word, but I have to be very habit based, because PMDD doesn't take a break. Like, can you imagine if PMDD was like, oh, I'm only here for the weekday and then on the weekends I'll give you a break? No, PMDD is there for me for 14 days. So that means whatever I'm doing in my luteal phase to reduce my PMDD symptoms, I need to do it every day. When I give myself a break, that's when the PMDD symptoms come rushing in. So it's like I no longer get the reduction in my PMDD symptoms. Yes, I can take a break, but it causes me to suffer even more by taking those things out of my morning routine or out of my daily routine. So I would say whatever it is that you choose out of these 4 things, just do it, and just do it daily in your luteal phase. If you want to switch it up in your follicular phase and ovulation, have at it, because you're going to have the energy to do it. You're not going to be suffering with PMDD. So like, do what you want. But I would say it's really going to help you. And I would communicate this to your PMDD partner and see if they can somehow be integrated with the activity that you choose off of this episode, because when you start to associate your reduction in PMDD symptoms with your partner, your symptoms get better, versus thinking that the reason why you're suffering in PMDD is your partner, your relationship gets worse. So don't just do this on your own and keep it to yourself. Really talk to your PMDD partner and say, hey, this is something that I'm thinking about doing. Okay. So I would say the walk, just figure out a time. You can pause this and really think about it. Figure out a time that you want to do your daily walk and commit to that. The next thing that has helped me, and this may not be your thing because I have a lot of friends that it's not their thing, traveling has really helped me reduce my PMDD symptoms, because I used to travel every now and again. Like, it used to be a very sporadic thing. And I noticed on the months that I traveled, I had less PMDD symptoms. Like, the impact was less. I still experienced them, but the impact was less, because you know why? I was distracted. I kind of broke my routines that I was doing, the negative patterns that I had. So I didn't just wake up out of my same bed doing the same things. So the first way that it impacted me was it disrupted the negative patterns that I have. So PMDD makes you feel overwhelming when you're stuck in the same environment, you're the same routines, doing the same things. Traveling helped me distract myself, but by looking at this fresh perspective. And it disrupted the cycle of stress. Like, I got to explore new places. I got to like do different things. I got to focus on positive experiences that brought me joy. And ultimately it reduced my stress. Like, granted that the the airports are hard, because if you have sensitivity to noise misophonia, the airports are hard because they're loud and they're kind of triggering. But if you can get past that, like the payoff from traveling has been amazing for me. It has made me feel like I'm not so debilitated. Like I'm this broken bird that can't do certain things. Like, I felt so powerful being able to travel. And that's one of my loves. And it's something that I love to do in my follicular phase. So the fact that I plugged it into my luteal phase made me feel like, oh, you can do this. Like, it boosted my mood. It boosted my confidence, exploring new places, new cultures, new food, new activities. I was so engulfed in what I was doing. I was so immersed in the things that I was doing that I wasn't so focused on my PMDD symptoms. Another thing that it did was it provided physical movement. Every time that I travel, I genuinely walk more than I normally do. And it reduced my symptoms of irritability, fatigue. Like, when I got into those places of fatigue, Like I didn't feel as tired if I was already on the move, especially if I had planned like excursions and I had places to go. And the next thing it did, I got that social connection. I would always try to go to an event or go to like a meetup group or something wherever I was traveling. And it helped me to focus not so much on PMDD, but more into the things that I love. So I would say for traveling, if you can't travel, I would say you can pair this on focus on 3 things that you love to do and focus on plugging that in on on a monthly basis. I would prefer a weekly basis because like I started dancing, like going to salsa dancing, bachata dancing, all of the things to just give me a break, give me an excuse to get dressed up and all the things, which I'll get into the next one. It gave me a reason to do these things that made me feel good versus I just decide to do them on my own. Okay. The next thing is the getting dressed up. I love getting dressed up when I'm in PMDD because when you're in PMDD internally, you can feel like a piece of crap, right? You can feel like, oh, I can't do this. I'm so fatigued. I'm so blah, blah. When I started dating, I know this is how I discovered it. I discovered it because I started dating, and when I started dating, I had to get dressed up. So I was always in this place of like, oh, I got to get dressed up for this. And I noticed there was a really big boost in my self-esteem and my self-confidence and my mood. And because I would always get dressed to like listening to music, and then I would just feel good. Like I put on some music that felt good to me for the moment. Like every day would be different. I would go from country to EDM to pop music to R&B, whatever mood that I was feeling, I would put that music on and I would get an immediate dopamine release. So the act of getting ready and focusing on self-care, it's rewarding because you get the dopamine, which is a feel-good chemical in the brain. It improves the mood and it reduces irritability. And I saw this 100%. My daughter would say, you look so happy when you're getting ready to go on a date. Like she would almost ask me, hey, are you going on a date? Because she would know like when I was getting dressed that like, oh, she's going to be in this happy mood. Because even if I didn't feel like it, and there would be moments where I didn't feel like it, I would like turn the shower on. And then I ended up moving. My daughter got me an upgraded, I don't want to say the name, but an upgraded product that streams music, because if I say the name, it's going to like activate right now. But she bought me an upgraded one. So now I have one in the bathroom and one in the living room, one in my room. So every single time that I'm going to get ready, I'm putting on the music that makes me feel good. I'm putting on my makeup. I'm getting dressed. I'm looking good. And it literally, it breaks the cycle of isolation. I know that I'm going to go out. I'm going to go out around other people. It's a literal mental reset. Even though I'm in PMDD, I was feeling good about myself, and I had so much joy, and it just made me so happy. And it wasn't because I was not out of PMDD. So a lot of you who follow me, on social media, they're like, oh my gosh, do you even still have PMDD, or how are you feeling? Because I spent the majority of my journey vlogging all of my PMDD symptoms, and I noticed that what you speak, the words that you say out of your mouth, or what you're giving life to, or what you're magnifying. And there were so many other aspects of my life that I could magnify that had nothing to do with PMDD that I started to lean into. Was I still having PMDD symptoms? Yes. And it was almost like cyclical. Like if you've been following me for a while, you know that I have my main symptoms, I will say in PMDD, are anxiety first thing in the morning, depression, I will get it late at night, specifically if I'm lonely, sensitivity to noise, that's pretty much all day. I have a train that that operates next to me. So whenever I'm walking my dog Leo, like I hear the train and it sounds like 10 times louder. Night sweats, I've already told you about. Brain fog, really confused, really overwhelmed, really stressed. These are the things that is helping me. So I'm still experiencing PMDD symptoms. I just want to say that because I sound happy. I look happy. I feel different. I look different. I've had people, even people that don't even know that I have PMDD, have called to me over the holiday and they're like, I've never seen you this happy. And I don't want anyone to ever think that it's because I broke up with my ex-PMDD partner. That's not the thing. It's what I added in after we broke up. So I don't want you to get confused and be like, I want to be happy like Dr. Rose, so I need to like dump my partner. No, dumping my partner was not the catalyst for any of this. It was literally what I chose to do with my life after I was in that place where everything got stripped away from me by my own decision. I will say, like, nobody did this to me. I decided. But then I was like left with this like blank slate of like, what is going on with my life? What kind of life do I want to live? And these are the things that I decided to add to it. So the fourth thing, the very last thing, the most impactful thing, you know how they say save the best for last, is raving, dancing, going to festivals. EDM music is electric dance music. I know I keep saying EDM, but it's something that has brought me joy for many years that I honestly took out of my previous relationship, as I've stated, for multiple reasons. But when I brought it back, it was literally like coming home to myself so much that I really wanted to research, like, why is raving so good for me? Like, why do I feel so much better to the fact that I went last month in December and I don't remember PMDD. I don't remember. I was doing these four things. So that's why because I journal every day. So I wanted to bring you all the data. I don't remember, like, because I remember having fun all of December of 2024. I had fun. I had joy. I felt great. And I can't tell you where my cycle began and ended because I gave myself that break of like vlogging, like day 1 of PMDD, day 2. Like, I didn't do that. And I remember feeling fatigue, but like that's the biggest symptom that I would say that really like made me like, I must be in PMDD. But I was like, okay, well, I just slept more. Like, it was no big deal for me. So I wanted to go over why raving. And again, raving is an acquired taste. It's not for everybody. Everybody doesn't love to do it. I love to do it. And I've loved to do it since 2010 when I went to my first EDC, my electric dance carnival. And I was living in Miami, Florida. I went to it and I had an amazing time. And then I remember I got in a relationship and then I didn't do it again because like raving and going to these festivals and being in relationships, I think that you have to be compatible with someone who equally raves, because otherwise your partner can insecure partner, anxious partner, or even avoidant partner can get really like triggered by you going to these festivals. And I never wanted to do an activity that triggered my partner. So moving forward, when it came to dating, I'm like, is it possible for me to like date a fellow raver? Because I see couples that rave together. Like, they go to the rave and they're like dancing together. They're having fun together. Cause like raving is a long time. Like, when you go to these festivals, like the last one I went to for New Year's was 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. Like, it's 12 hours of like straight dancing, like music. And I know the stigma is that you have to do drugs, but I didn't do any drugs. Like, I love dancing. I love being in the vibe of music. And there's several artists that go to these raves, but I'm going to tell you how it improved my PMDD symptoms. The number one reason was the release of endorphins. So like dancing for hours and hours and hours to energetic music, it triggers the release of endorphins. I remember the one time that Tony Robbins said, scientifically, you cannot be depressed and be dancing. And I literally thought about that and I was like, you're so right. Like, your brain won't allow you to do it. Like, you cannot be in a mode of dancing and moving around in your body, whatever that looks like. Like, I feel like there's so many stipulations to dancing and it's like, I don't know how to dance. It's like, move your body. There's no right way to do it. And that's why I love raving, like going to rave festivals, because no one is looking at, like, cause I've done salsa, I've done bachata, I've done merengue, I've done all of the standard, like, cause that's how I was kind of inching myself into it, right? Around the summertime, I started to do a lot of salsa and bachata and go to the dance clubs, but it was very structured. It was very like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And I'm just like, yeah, this is not for me, not for me. Like, but I still loved it because I was still moving my body, but I just loved it when they allowed us to do the free dance. So that's how I kind of like went into the realm of, raving, because I was like, I still want to dance, but I want to do it in a way that like makes me feel free. I want to do it like I'm in my bathroom or in my bedroom, just like flailing around, dancing, listening to music and moving however I want to move. And so the next thing that the raving did for my PMDD symptoms, it is created a sense of belonging. Like, this community of ravers, like, one of the most impactful compliments that I've gotten when I've been raving is like, I love your vibe. I love your energy. It's not about what you physically look like. It's not about you being in this this specific thing. They're so inclusive. Everybody is welcome. Everybody loves you. Everybody's just trying to like just have a good time and just love. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it because there's no judgment. Like you could literally show up. They have people showing up in onesies. They have people showing up with gothic stuff. Like there's such a wide spectrum. So what I've noticed, I ended up getting nose piercings, which I didn't have before. I got a septum and a nose piercing. I ended up wearing chains. I think you can hear them right now. Like I ended up wearing leather pants. Like I got to know my true vibe from going to these things because it's such a level of expression. I was like, what am I going to wear? And when I really leaned into it, I got to like lean into the core of like how I felt. And I felt like a really good person. Like I felt amazing living in that vibe, and sharing the different musics. Like there's so many different kinds of music that are plays at rave, and you can literally just like lean into whatever resonates with you. And even if it's not your favorite song, you're still dancing around and there's still this amazing community that is supporting you. And the next thing it did was, so that was like the emotional expression. Like if you have rage, if you want to like freaking yell and scream, there's people that are willing to do that. And they're doing that in the songs and no one freaking cares. If you're dealing with that in PMDD and you go to a rave and you freaking scream your balls out, like no one cares. Like you can scream your lungs out, not your balls out, sorry. You can scream your lungs out. No one's going to care. They're just going to be like, yeah, they're going to like cheer you on. It's like going to a musical rage room, right? And I know if you have PMDD rage, you thought about going to a rage room. You're like, oh my gosh, that's on my like bucket list. So the next thing it did is I had this level of like mindfulness when I had like these ruminating thoughts about things, specifically about dating. When I went to the rave, I was not thinking about that. It literally gave me a break from the overthinking. Well, what about this? And I wasn't thinking about anything. Like I wasn't thinking about that. I wasn't thinking about that person. I wasn't thinking about that situation. And then also it reduced my bloating. I had experienced a lot of bloating from like allowing myself to like eat anything that I wanted. And I was like, okay with it. It was like kind of like, what your body responds to. And I hope that inflammation during PMDD makes your symptoms worse. So when your body is inflamed from bloating, it makes your symptoms worse. So I would say like whatever physical exercise you do, lean it into something that's going to reduce the bloating, which the dancing definitely did. One time, I think it was New Year's Day, I had 20,423 steps. And that was literally from the dancing. And that's when I got like the boost of dopamine, which is like you're getting something done, and the boost of serotonin. And these are the things that dopamine and serotonin levels are normally really low with individuals who have premenstrual dysphoric disorder. But the uplifting repetitive beats at raves, it enhances those effects. So it leaves you more positive and energized, and it increases those levels that are being dragged down by PMDD. So think of it as like PMDD is dragging your dopamine and serotonin levels down, and you're building it back up by dancing and raving. So that's what I mean by the actions that you take are going to be the thing that impact your PMDD symptoms, not just sitting back and be like, oh, I guess this is how my life is. No. These things were all physical acts. And then honestly, it just made me more positive. I was so proud of myself for like stepping out of my comfort zone and going back to something that I genuinely loved, that I had taken away. And I just felt proud of myself. I felt happy with the community that I had. I even have friends that aren't ravers, and they're just like, I can't believe this side of you. And my PMDD symptoms were very drastically reduced. They were not eliminated. So that's like my disclaimer. Like this did not eliminate my PMDD symptoms, but it did dramatically reduce them. So I would say your homework for this episode is to go and just think about 4 things that you can do in the same category that literally fit well with you. It could be watching a Netflix series. It could be walking your dog. It could, whatever it is, just something that brings you joy, and start implementing those things into your daily and your weekly and your monthly life to reduce your PMDD symptoms. So I'm exposing everything to you just so if you see me, you know why I'm more happy. I even sound like more upbeat on the podcast. And I just want you to just understand where I'm coming from, where it's coming from, because I've followed people for so long and I've just seen a transition, but they've not really given me the goods. They haven't really told me like, what's the secret sauce? Like, what are you doing? So I am giving you the secret sauce so that you can create this specifically for you. And if this is something that you need to like, I need someone to help me do this. I need someone to map this out for me. This is something that we can do in one session. So go to the link that's in the show notes or go to inlovewithpmdd.com and we can do a strategy session where we can just get this. Literally, I can map out what your 4 things are that you should be doing on a monthly and or weekly, daily basis in your luteal phase for your premenstrual disorder symptoms. We got this. Until next time, love you. I hope these tools help you and your PMDD partner. If you have not enrolled to get the course, My Partner Has PMDD, now what? Then you want to make sure that you are one of the first 12 individuals that gets the course for the month of December to get that complimentary private session with me. And then after that, it'll go back to regular price without the private sessions. But what this course is going to do for you is give your partner all of the tools that they need on how to be a supportive PMDD partner. What does that look like? I always say that your partner doesn't need more information. They need more implementation. They need more transformational tools. And this is the program for you. So I'm looking forward to you getting those tools in the program. And until next episode, we got this.